What is good, YouTube? Quinway basketball analysis coming to y'all while holding down analysisplayground.com, while at the same time giving y'all that updated analysis on the current Tom Thibodeau iteration of the New York Knicks. They was a surprise team hosting the All NBA All Star Most Improved Player and Julius Randle, who also disappointed in the playoffs but got his extension. He showed a lot of work ethic, showed a lot of growth, but so did Tom Thibodeau, so did this team. And they also grew, honestly, because they added more talent and corrected a lot of their offensive mistakes that we seen exposed in the playoffs. And I feel like they did a good job trying to put together the best team they could while still putting together some parts that can really make this team grow and improve and be more dangerous. Even though the East to me got better, the Knicks didn't want to be the same team where they had to prove everybody wrong and be a first round exit. So they went to the drawing board, got some new talent, got some new scorers, and continued to keep their man core nucleus intact. And they decided to bring back this team and try to run it back and see if they can get further. Maybe Eastern Conference Finals, maybe second round. We will see. But let's talk about R.J. Barrett, a huge part of this team. People looked at him as a star. People looked at him as a player that was going to be special for him. Has shown growth and improvement, especially from his scoring and three-point shooting. Has been a respectable defender, not great, not amazing, but also isn't as bad as people thought that he would be. Playmaking ability still there. Still isn't as amazing as I thought it would be, but it has been solid too. Still want him to get some go-to moves. Still want him to get a little bit more of an off the dribble game, off the bounce with his scoring. Maybe he added that to his game. That's what he's really missing to become a 20-point scorer. He's almost there, and I like his growth and improvement going into high school and going into college. And he has continued to show that even throughout the NBA. That's why people thought he was a good pickup, just because he has shown that consistency of growing and improving and wanting to get better. And he has did that even in the NBA so far. Maybe he can go from being role player to starter to star this league for the Knicks. This year for the Knicks. And if that's the case, they got a nice little weapon on their hands that can probably even be an all-star at one point. And that was the whole point of why they drafted him so high and why so many people liked him. Alec Burks is back on a more expensive contract. Gave them some shot creation, somebody that can handle the ball, get to the basket, some floater hits a mid range. Give them a guy that can get the ball to the and he can get his own shot. And that's all they really needed him to do. He was able to do that in the playoffs. Was able to produce. Not really a go-to guy, but has a skill sets to be one. Especially when you give him space or give him a screen, he can make quick decisions, and he was able to do that for the Knicks. He gonna have a similar role this year, and I predict him to do the same thing. Taj Gibson gave them a lot of heart, a lot of hustle, a lot of muscle. I don't see that changing this year. I kind of figured that they'll bring him back. He fit perfectly in their grindy, tough, fight for every possession style that Tom Thibodeau always tried to put out there and implement. And it's no biggie that he brought Taj Gibson back because he's going to bring that to the table again. Quentin Grimes, don't see him getting significant minutes. They have a lot of guards and they're loaded with guards even more this year. So I don't see him being a huge player on this team this year, maybe in the future. Same with Kevin Knox. He was a guy that was special for them, a wing that could possibly be a three-point shooter, guy that can create off the dribble, a guy that can be a scorer with size and length. Never really became a great defender either, even under Tom Thibodeau. Really looks like a bust and looks like he's going to be off this team if he doesn't show growth or improvement, which he hasn't really done in his entire career so far. So the days of Kevin Knox being the Knicks could be over within the next 1 or 2 years, and we'll see where he goes or see if he can show some signs that they should want to keep him. Same with Miles McBride. I don't see him getting significant time under this current roster. Maybe 5 to 10 to 15 minutes at the max, especially if an injury happens to one of their guards. Other than that, I don't really see him getting a significant role. Nerlens Noel got paid his $8 million. He's a lanky, athletic center that fit what they try to do. Can guard a lot of positions. Can guard on the perimeter to a certain extent. As a center, gives you size, mobility, length. Can cover a lot of space. That's why a lot of people looked at him as a potential number one pick. Never really lived up to that defensive hype. Showed that he can be respectable defensively. Showed that he can also be a good cover-up defender too. But the Knicks are using him for that particular role. They're using him in that particular way. So it makes sense that he fits what they did. He really relished in those roles. So why not bring him back and take care of him? Emmanuel quickly still is a hot or cold guy. If his shot is falling, he's dangerous. If his shot not falling, he just throws up shots anyway. Still can be a difference maker because of it. If his 3-point shot is going, he can also get to the basket, hit floaters, can also hit some mid range from time to time. He still has to focus on his consistency, especially when it comes to shot making. We even seen in summer league when he's going, he's going. When he's cold, he's cold. That's going to be the thing about quickly. Can really be a good 6th, 7th, 8th man on a good team, and that's what the Knicks are. That's what they're asking him to do, and I think he'll be fine next year for them. You also got Mitchell Robertson. Thought he was going to be a huge part of what they was going to do when he showed all the flashes and potential. They didn't take care of him contract-wise yet. Never really found himself in the league as an elite defender. Never really got that elite playing time that he wanted. And it looks like the Knicks are fine with him just being a role player at this point, as they're not trying to make him a franchise cornerstone like people thought that they would. And it's unfortunate because he has the size and the potential and the mobility to be very special. But IQ-wise, mental-wise, he just haven't been able to put it all together. And that's also counting on the court when it comes to production and consistency as a defender, rebounder, and not fouling. Still hasn't put it all together mentally. Hopefully he can use that as motivation, especially contract-wise, to have a breakout season. If he does, they can always retain him in the offseason. If he doesn't, he's a valuable trade asset that a team will love to pick up and try to pluck some more of that potential out of him on a different roster. Derrick Rose is special for this team. They traded basically nothing for him. I thought he was an upgrade over the players that they traded for him, and he really gave them a shot creator, a guy that can get a basket, a guy that can create shots, a guy that can create chaos because he can penetrate, hit some threes and some mid-range. 3-point shooting was a little down compared to other seasons. Hopefully he can just continue to put in the work, continue to be productive, and be a 6-man of the year candidate like he's been the last couple years. If he does that, that's a successful season for Derrick Rose, and I'm rooting for him. And I'm proud of what he did the last couple years. Sims and Jericho Sims, we'll see what they are in this league. Will they get significant playing time? Will they stay on the roster? We don't know. But we just know that they have an opportunity to be on it. But even if they do, I don't see them getting major playing time anyway on this particular team. Obi Toppin, we still kind of lost on him. They don't use him the way that he should be used, but they also don't need him to be that either because they have Randle taking up the bulk of their playmaking and scoring. So we'll see how they use Toppin. He's a high effort guy, can really get to the basket, showing ability to hit mid range and threes. If he can put that whole package together, he can really be a dangerous forward for them that allows them to go small, that allows them to go big, but gives them a lot of production in other ways if that shooting comes around. If it doesn't, they just got a rotation big that's a big body that can rebound and that can give them interior scoring in spot minutes. So that's still pretty good for a team that needs depth. And he also always can be a good backup for Julius Randle too. So you're not going to complain about that. And then you got Luka. I don't think he's going to be on the roster, get significant playing time if he was. So I'm not going to mention him too much. And same thing with MJ Walker. Kimball Walker and obviously Evan Fournier and Julius Randle are the heart, the soul, and the offense of this team. We really seen Julius Randle flourish in his role as a lead player. We knew he can get buckets. We knew he was an NBA caliber player, but he evolved his game, changed his game, was able to add the 3-point shot, which was consistent, was able to get go-to moves in the post, go-to moves in the high post, also able to hit the fadeaway in the pull-up game. It was fading a little bit in the playoffs, but it was there basically the entire season, and he continued to add to his game even with the playmaking and still was a right rebounder for his size and position and athleticism. So if anything, I'm proud of Julius Randle. He proved me wrong during the draft, but he also listened to what I said in a sense because the way he evolved his game and changed his game was the way I feel like he'd be special in his league. He did all of it, and he's special in his league. So I guess he didn't really prove me wrong because when he did that stuff, it changed his career to being an all-NBA all-star caliber player, which he was this season. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. He put it together, and now he's one of the better players in the league. Same with Evan Fournier. He's going to be respectable. Gives them shot creation, shot making ability. Gives them another weapon in the pick and roll that can pull up from three, pull up from mid range, hit a floater, get to the basket, and is a solid free throw shooter, and also is a solid playmaker. Same with Kimba. Give them another guy that they can put in the pick and roll with Julius Randle, Mitchell Robertson, Nerlens Noel. Get somebody that can hit shots from the mid range, from three, floaters, and get to the basket, hit some free throws. They needed more scorers. They needed more playmakers. They needed more guys that they can rely on offensively outside of Julius Randle, who was really everything for them offensively. Now they got other guys that can handle the ball. Now they got other guys that can make plays. Now they got other guys that can shoot off the dribble. And now they got guys that can play on and off the ball to fit around Julius Randle and give him space to operate in the post and give them more threats that can make shots, make a play, or even just put the ball in the basket. And that's something that they was lacking. They didn't have the creativity. They didn't really have a lot of innovation. They was what they was, and they rode that style all year. Now they got a little bit more elements to them. Now they got a little bit more styles they can do offensively and defensively that they just didn't have last year. You want to add layers to your depth. You want to add layers to your team, and I feel like they did that this offseason. I still don't feel like they're an elite team. Still don't feel like they're a championship team, but I do definitely feel like they're a lock for the playoffs just because of their defense, just because of Julius Randle, and just because of the talent that they acquired and put around them. If this team stays healthy, they should be better offensively. They should still be pretty solid defensively, and I feel like that's a good combination. If you're a middle in the pack offense team and one of the best top 10, top 15 defensive team, especially in the Eastern Conference, you have a shot to be a top 8 seed. That was something they was able to accomplish even without having a great offense last year, adding the pieces that they added and having the same type of nucleus that they had last year and just making it more mixed up and more differentiated from last year. Offensively, gives them a little bit more spice, gives them a little bit more sauce, and gives them a little bit more razzle dazzle because they'd be more fun to watch and more entertaining, especially when you bring in a guy like Kimba, who they wanted and he wanted to be there. And now he gets to perform on one of the biggest stages, MSG, and live out a dream and help this team win in the playoffs and get further than the first round. Even though I did pick them to lose in the first round last year and I ended up being right, I feel like this team definitely can make the playoffs and be a lot if healthy. And I definitely think they can definitely get out of the first round depending on their matchup. This team should be tough. This team should be ugly. But this team also will be more fun and less predictable than they was last year. And that makes them more dangerous and a team to look out for, especially if a player comes available and they can add on. This team can go from being another team in the East to being right there with the best teams in the East if things play out right for them. But at the end of the day, they will be respectable. They will be competitive, even if they start with this roster and ends with it. And that's something the Knicks been wanting. Something to root for, something to cheer for, something to get behind. And they have that the last 2 years with the Knicks, including this year. And that's just something special for them to have. And it's just good to see it. But I also want to see if they can get over that hump. I just don't want them to be a playoff team the next couple years. I want them to continue to strive to improve this roster and ultimately win a title for NYC, which we haven't seen since you know how long. So we'll see if they're able to do that, if not this year, in the future. But Knicks fans, how y'all doing? Do y'all thing. Enjoy this season. And hopefully y'all can get further than y'all did last year, and that can get y'all really riled up and happy. Y'all are just happy to be in the playoffs. Now y'all can actually do something in the playoffs, and that gives y'all something to expect and something to look forward to and something to enjoy this season. So shout out to the Knicks fans. Do y'all thing. Quinn Wade, basketball announcer, signing out. See y'all tomorrow.